Hello and welcome to another Wisco Fanatics Wednesday. Just got a little bit of breaking news, actually. I got the Luke Fickle bat signal out. Um, Defensive lineman Jamel Howard has officially committed to Wisconsin. He's a defensive lineman for 2023. So I'm a little bummed that Jake isn't going to be here at the beginning of the show. Probably not for the Badgers part of the show, but he will be back. He will be here in about 20 minutes or so. So Jake will be on the show to talk about the Bucks for sure. But I'm bummed that Jake isn't here to see this because I found this at TJ Maxx. This is super random to start the show with, by the way, but I found this at TJ Maxx. It is like a literal little mini bat signal. I need to figure out a way to turn the bat into a W so I can have like my own official Luke Fickle bat signal. Trust me. I know it's a super random way to start the show, but I'm easily amused. So here I am. All right. So we had two Badger games in the last week. Neither of them went as hoped. Obviously, we would like to see the Badgers win both of them. They didn't win either one. Jake and I had both predicted 1-1 weeks for the Badgers in the last week. But I just want to say before I start in the games that there is a lot of Greg Gard slander, I guess is the word that I'll use, stemming from the Badgers' losing streak and from their recent stretch of games, losing 6 out of the last 7. What I want to do is, I guess, make a statement on we need to stop comparing the basketball team to the football team. And I've seen it everywhere. Basically, any Badgers groups that you have out there, any Wisconsin sports groups out there, is that people are saying, well, we should just fire Gard and bring in a Luke Fickle equivalent on basketball. And it's not that simple, first of all. I've seen this said, I think it might have been Scary Alvarez, actually, who joined us on the show last fall, that said that there's not just a Luke Fickle waiting out there as far as basketball is concerned. People suggest, seen people suggest Jay Wright, which is an option, but we're looking at a scenario where Paul Chryst went like 3-4 years of not changing his system, and we're in basically year 1 of Greg Gard dealing with a system that doesn't quite have the players to adjust to the system that they're playing in. So for me with Greg Gard, basically the thing that I'm looking at, and this is something that can take him from a good coach, which I think he is, to a great coach, is by adapting his system to his players. This season specifically, there's another recruiting class coming in 2023 that I have seen as high rated. I haven't dug super hard into it because that's next year. I'm more concerned about this year. But is if Greg Gard can adapt his system to his players and a little bit less of expecting his players to conform to his system. We've seen a couple times where the Badgers have gotten out into some transition roles and been able to score in transition on the fast break a little bit. That's something that the Badgers typically just haven't done in a long time. They've been to slow it down, fewer possessions, fewer mistakes, make it harder for the other team to try to score in bunches because they don't have as many of those possessions. So we'll start with the Maryland game. And the first half was decent. Connor Esiason played actually some pretty decent defense in the first half of the Maryland game. And then Chucky Hepburn got a block off the backboard coming after a turnover, got back on defense, got a block off the backboard. So that's good to see Chucky Hepburn have that short memory to turn that around and go make that play defensively. Badgers started 2 for 2 from the 3-point line. Both teams actually were really hot to start this game off, and then they both cooled off for a while. Connor Esiason, he's bouncing back well after not playing very well against Northwestern, which is good. Giving energy on defense, which is what it's going to take for him to improve defensively. It's going to take that consistent energy and effort for him to improve on defense. Both teams had some pretty long droughts in the first half offensively. And then the Badgers, towards the end of the first half, were intentionally fouling to try to throw off Maryland's rhythm, which you could tell was frustrating some of Maryland's guards, and it worked. Maryland missed their last shot for the half, so it did work. As far as Badgers offense goes, and I know this is something I think I've said probably 2 or 3 weeks in a row now, is that the Badgers need to keep the ball moving, regardless of where they're moving the ball. If they're putting it into the post, it can go back out or just around the perimeter. Like the ball it needs to be moving quicker. That's a bottom line thing when we're talking about what the Badgers can improve on is its ball movement. The ball needs to move quicker. That's bottom line. Steven Crowell's hitting some jumpers, which is encouraging to see. He has struggled. I'm sure they've said it probably 32 times during the last 2 games during the broadcast that Steven Crowell is struggling from the 3 this year, but he can make them, that he's capable of making them. And then Badgers, they struggled defending ball screens a lot in the second half. So Maryland using their point guards, getting screens by their bigs. The Badgers just kind of struggled to figure out exactly how they were going to defend those. Connor Sejan got lost on a couple where he wasn't sure that the Badgers were playing switch defense or if they were sticking with their man-to-man defense. So the Badgers got caught a little bit there. And the capability is there as well. So basically, the 2 ways you can defend it are to try to get over the screen, like before it's set. Obviously, you don't want to try to go through the screen because that's a really good way to draw a bunch of fouls. But the other way is for the person who's defender of the guy that's setting the screen is to get up way higher and show, they call it hedging the screen, so that the ball handler has to take another dribble or 2 towards half court. That makes it harder for them to get an angle to the basket and harder for them to potentially see a pass on a roll man. Steven Crowell did this well, very well, twice, and then I know Tyler Wall did it at least once too, and they both recovered back to their man who was cutting towards the paint. That's the kind of stuff that the Badgers are capable of, but just haven't done frequently enough for them to get over the hump in some of these close games. I didn't actually look it up. I'm going to pull it up right now just to see how many of the Badgers games that they've lost out of their last 6 have ended up being single digit or games that were decided closely in the last few minutes, even if they weren't necessarily close games. So the Illinois game was 10. Maryland ended up being an 18-point game. Northwestern was 3. They beat Penn State by 3. Lost to Michigan State by 4. So, I mean, these close games that the Badgers are losing, the Northwestern one really stands out to me because that's the one that the Badgers lost by 3 points and they missed 7 free throws. Jake and I talked pretty at length about that last week. But later in this game, the Badgers had a couple of mini runs. They just couldn't sustain enough to get back into the game. And then later in the half, too, the ball movement wasn't quick enough, wasn't crisp enough. They were just struggling to get open shots. So this is something where I'm not necessarily calling for a coaching change, definitely not a coaching change yet, and not quite a full philosophy change. It's not like where last fall, we're talking about what do the Badgers need to do in football to really turn the corner for the season, to try to, to become bowl eligible for Paul Chris to keep his job, stuff like that. And for me, I was like full philosophy change. And when Paul Chris got fired and we started talking about coaching candidates, I'm like, you know what, let's just go full air raid with the Badgers. And now they're doing that. I'm not quite at that point with Badgers basketball yet. I do like the focus of Wisconsin basketball being on not turning the ball over. If you watch this show, you've heard when I talk about the Bucks, basically since we started covering them, that turnovers are a huge deal. And I'm going to talk about it a little bit today when we get to the Bucks section of this, but I've gotten a little bit of a different perspective on it now. But still, it's a really important thing is to not turn the ball over, taking care of the ball. That's why that's in my fundamental failures that I do with basketball games, where it's taking care of the ball, boxing out, not giving up rebounds to give your opponents a second chance points, and then points off turnovers. So, those are just the things that need to be done to be fundamentally sound. So, Badgers taking care of the ball, playing good defense, those are 2 very, very good core principles to have in basketball. I don't want the Badgers to change that. I don't want them to go away from that style of play. However, I would like to see the Badgers, A, pick up the pace, and B, pick up the ball movement. Those are 2 things that can potentially generate more turnovers. So there is a little bit of a happy medium, in the gray area of taking care of the ball, slowing the possessions down, fewer turnovers, and, playing like the Charlotte Hornets, for example, who are a very fast, shoot a lot, shoot more, run out, try to get a bunch of shots basically as quick as you can, but to find somewhere in the middle to meet those things. Running some fast break or, just figuring out different ways to get guys open other than just the base offense that the Badgers are running. So that's something that I'm looking for from the Badgers going forward, but not yet to the point of needing a coaching change. That's not where I'm at with the Badgers yet. I just want to pull up the Maryland game specifically to look at some of the stats from this one. It is good to see Connor Essegian, Tyler Wall both bounce back from low field goal shooting. Connor Essegian 6 for 12, 4 for 6 from the 3-point line is encouraging. Tyler Wall 6 for 13 from the field. Stephen Crowell 4 for 7 from the field. That's good things to see. I see Carter Gilmore getting a lot of hate on, especially Twitter more so than Facebook. But I'm not sure where the Carter Gilmore slander comes from. The dude comes in, he plays hard, and he gives 100% effort. It's not really sure what more people want from Carter Gilmore. And I think I mentioned this last week too, when Jake and I were talking about basketball in college versus basketball in the NBA. And people got to stop looking at the box score so much and putting so much into only scoring points. What's up, Steve? So much into scoring points that people believe that that's the only way a guy can contribute, because it's not. And a lot of times you'll find that the best teammates are guys that do things other than just scoring, whether it's playing defense, rebounding, setting screens. It's a really underrated aspect of games. Like Carter Gilmore, he goes out there and he puts out 100% effort. And we know this is something that's coming into light a lot recently, is that this Badgers team is not very deep. This is a situation where people use this as an argument for why Greg Gard should be fired, because, Greg Gard's done well in the past, but he doesn't have a very deep team. Well, Greg Gard's the recruiter. So this is kind of a situation where people that want Greg Gard out are going to find a reason to justify it no matter what. But you look at next season, 2023, we have guys like Gus Yeldon coming in, who's baby Jokic, they call him. He's going to be part of the team next year. Greg Gard recruited him. I think Greg Gard deserves at least a chance to coach him. Obviously, if the Badgers find a way to not win a game the entire rest of the season, obviously Greg Gard would not be retained. But I don't think that's going to be the case. So going into the Illinois game, this is the one that Jake had picked as a win. This is the one that I thought the Badgers were going to lose, just looking at the schedule because of the way that Illinois plays. And Illinois has got a good team. Jake thought the Badgers would be able to win this one because Tyler Wall was healthy, which I'm not going to say the Badgers are incapable of winning any of the games that they play in. They're a team that's capable. We saw it with Kansas. The Badgers essentially should have won that game in overtime or in regulation, but the refs missed an out of bounds call, but it is what it is. That stuff happens. The Badgers are going to be in a situation. Jake actually called this to the attention of the show last week. This is something that I said during football season, was the Badgers' style of play is going to make it possible for them to upset any team. But it does also leave them vulnerable to be upset by any team. And I still believe that that's the case. That's where that low scoring, the ground and pound, pretty similar play styles, honestly, between the football and basketball teams. It's a little different in basketball, obviously, but, I can see the parallels for the people that want to complain about it, but it's not quite as radically bad as people make it out to be. So Max Klesmit was back for this game, so that was good to see. Honestly, this bothered me, was that there were so many whistles early in this game. Like I understand when there's obvious things to call them, but I'm a strong proponent of letting players play. A lot of, especially when we're talking about the Big Ten, and we're talking about barn ball type stuff, and we're talking about the big boys in the Big Ten, and that's how the Big Ten is played. The Iowas, Purdue's, those are tough teams, and I'd like to see the referees let them play a little bit. So this was interesting too. Is third straight game where Kamari McGee is getting some early playing time. Now, he's a transfer from UWGB, and we had some discussions earlier in the season why he wasn't playing that much or why he wasn't checking in very early in the games. And Greg Gard was saying it was because he wasn't quite up to speed with the what's the word I'm looking for? The raise in talent from going from UWGB to playing in Wisconsin, playing at Wisconsin. GB is still in Wisconsin, obviously. But we're seeing now Kamari McGee starting to get earlier and earlier playing time. It's pretty rough start to this game. Pretty much the opposite of the Maryland game. Where the Maryland game, both teams were off to a really hot start. This game, the teams combined for a 5 for 23 start from the field in the first 8 minutes. Pretty rough start. Max Klesmit was, however, a bright spot. He hit a 3 early in the game. He was diving on the floor, which gives me encouragement that his jaw is okay. I didn't see this anywhere, but I heard that Max Klesmit actually had to get stitches from the shot that he took in the Penn State game last week. I haven't seen that confirmed anywhere, but I did hear that. I don't know if that's any truth to that or not. I can ask Jake when he gets on, but because I'm not sure, but I did hear that Max Klesmit had to have stitches from that. And then Max Klesmit also drew a charge in the first half of this game, so I think it's pretty safe to say that Max Klesmit is back and he's needed. The Badgers have some guys in the team that I think will eventually contribute. They're just being forced into some roles that they might not be ready for a little too soon. And the 3 guys that really make me feel that way are Chris Hodges, who got taken advantage of a little bit defensively. Arcus Silver, who's given some quality minutes, especially when Tyler Wall was out, and Isaac Lindsey. I do think these guys are capable contributors. So I just don't think they're quite ready for the roles that they're in right now. And I do think they are capable of growing into those roles as they get more playing experience. It was good to see, actually, early in this game, Steven Crowell controlling the paint defensively. He had a steal in the paint, and he was actually doing very well defensive rebounding. That's the next step for Steven Crowell, for him to keep growing in those areas of controlling the game, both sides of the floor. He has gotten stronger. It doesn't quite look like it, but you can tell by his play style that he's gotten stronger. So it's good to see that. Steven Crowell and Carter Gilmore in the first half of this game did some really, really good work together offensively, working in the low post, getting some low post passing to each other. Both of them got to points where they get between the block and the restricted circle and hit one of those kind of leaning towards the baseline bounce passes to the other one for layups. They both had one to each other, and there was one possession where they each made that pass to each other, and it resulted in a layup. It's good to see that. It's good low post work between Crowell and Gilmore. Now, when I mentioned before talking about Greg Gard's philosophy and not needing a complete overhaul in the system, one thing that I would like to see, and this is something we've seen in Milwaukee this year, is I know the Badgers prioritize defense and that necessitates doing this, but I'd like to see the Badgers send some players for offensive rebounds. The Badgers had a lot of one and done in the first half, and basically every time they shoot, it's 4 guys back on defense. The Bucks basically went to a system this year where basically 3 guys went for the offensive rebound in every possession. And it has led to an uptick in offensive rebounds and second chance points for the Bucks. So that's something I could see the Badgers potentially doing to potentially help them raise their scoring, potentially at the detriment of their defense. But it's hustle. You go for the offensive rebound, you either get it and you give your team another chance to score, or you don't, and then you hustle your butt back on the defense. I don't think that's something that Greg Gard would have trouble teaching to his players, but it's just something where it's like a slight tick in the philosophy, and that's something I think the Badgers could help them improve. Because this game was the lowest scoring first half, actually the lowest scoring half period in the Big Ten this season. Tyler Wall was out most of the first half. Steven Crowell was out for a big chunk of the second half. Both of them had 2 fouls. which was part of what forced Chris Hodges into some early playing time. And in the first half, Max Klesmit, 8 points, 6 rebounds. Definitely good to have him back. Second half, a little bit of a rough start. 3 turnovers in the first 4 possessions. This is the thing that the Badgers cannot have happen. The Badgers, we already talked about how they're in low scoring scenarios. Giving away possessions and not even getting a chance to take a shot, whether it's a good shot or a bad shot, getting no shot, that cannot happen for the Badgers. That's one of their baseline things is the Badgers cannot turn the ball over, and that's part of their philosophy. So 4 possessions and having 3 turnovers in the first couple minutes of the second half definitely put them behind the 8 ball a little bit. James, I am by myself just for a little bit. Probably going to be doing just the Badgers portion by myself, and then Jake will be on shortly, I would expect, actually, any minute now. So Jake will be here soon. Tyler Wall scored the first 7 points for the Badgers in the second half. Chucky Hepburn started heating up. Illinois cooled off a little bit. They went nearly 5 minutes in the second half without a field goal. Wisconsin hit 4 straight 3-pointers in the second half. Went on a 15-2 run to take a 35-34 lead. And did most of that without Tyler Wall in the game. Wisconsin was down 9 points when Tyler Wall got his 4th foul. And then Stephen Crowell got his 4th foul with 9 minutes and 49 seconds left in the second half. And this is where Connor Essegian got caught up in some defensive miscommunication. And the Badgers slowed down offensively. Illinois picked up offensively. Illinois went on a 19-2 run since the game was tied at 37 points. And it was never close after that. And then this is tough to another situation later in the first half. Badgers step on the sideline twice. And that's 2 more turnovers, 2 more possessions with no shots. So it's a situation where it feels like these things are correctable, but just haven't come together yet. So I think it's a situation, like I said, where I believe that the Badgers are capable of beating any team they play against. It just needs to basically be done. They can do it. They just need to do it, is where I'm at with the Badgers. So Chucky Hepburn led the Badgers in scoring. He was 6 for 14 from the field, 15 points. 3 for 5 from the 3-point line is encouraging to see for him. Max Klesmit finished with 12 points, 8 rebounds. Actually, both Chucky and Max both had 2 steals apiece. Carter Gilmore, 5 more points off the bench. Connor Essegian really struggled from the field in this game after his 19 points against Maryland. Only 3 points against Illinois, and all of them came from the free throw line. So it's not a coincidence that the Badgers struggled offensively, as did Connor Essegian. He's already gotten inserted into the starting lineup. They're running some plays for him. They're running plays out of inbounds. Connor Essegian is kind of becoming, I'd say he's already the 4th option, but I think he's going to be passing up potentially Stephen Crowell and maybe even Tyler Wall as offensive options. This is something I'd like to get Jake's opinion on if he gets in here soon. But seeing what Jake thinks about potentially where the Badgers are for their offensive options, whether it be Chucky Hepburn, who I still think is the number 1 option, Tyler Wall, who's probably number 2, and then Stephen Crowell and Connor Essegian. I don't know. It might be a scenario where I need to watch Connor Essegian more to really determine how good of a ball handler he is. But it'd be interesting to see Connor Essegian and Tyler Wall get into some pick and roll action. I know the Badgers don't run a ton of pick and roll. They run a lot more dribble handoff, but I think it would be an interesting thing to try out. If we're talking, little changes the Badgers can make here and there to potentially help the team. Like I said, the offensive rebounding thing is really a big one of them. Picking up the pace is another one I think is an opportunity. Maybe running a little pick and roll with Connor Essegian and Tyler Wall or Stephen Crowell. Stephen Crowell, a guy who could potentially pick and pop and shoot a 3 or 2 here and there, is also interesting. I'll definitely have to ask Jake about that when he hops on. But the rough thing with this game is, and it's something I already mentioned is the depth for the Badgers. So looking at bench points, Carter Gilmore scored all 5 of the Badgers' bench points. Jordan Davis and Marcus Silver were both over 4 from the field, both over 2 from the 3-point line. It's just something that needs to be better. I mean, we talked about Jordan Davis last week at a 15-point game, his career high. He was hitting threes, getting layups. Now I'm getting to a point where I'm starting to feel like it's like last year's, like the 2022 Packers season, where it's like we have this guy's capable of this guy's capable of this. The team is capable of this, but it just hasn't all been put together yet. That's now that I'm talking about it and kind of hearing myself talk it out loud, that's the feel that I'm starting to get. Is that the capability is there. It's just the complete performance hasn't been put on the court yet. And I think it can be. So the Badgers will have 2 opportunities between tonight and next Wednesday. And the 2 opportunities are at Ohio State tomorrow night, which that'll be a good game, I think. And then Sunday they have a rematch against Northwestern. I'm torn on how I feel about the Ohio State game. Ohio State, I'm going to look at their record quick. Ohio State is 11-10. Ohio State's last in the Big Ten. That's rough. I really don't know how I feel about Ohio State. I'm really torn on that one. This is normally where I ask Jake first what I think his record prediction would be. I'm going to go 1-1. I'm going to say the Badgers beat Northwestern and lose to Ohio State tomorrow. I need to see some of these things change before I get full back into predicting a lot of wins for the Badgers. Now, I will point out that during the Badgers primer, not that I'm excited about being correct about this, but if I go back and look at the Badgers primer that we did, I said the Badgers were going to go into a situation where they get off to a good start. They get ranked. I think the Badgers got as high as 15, I want to say, after having a good November and December. And then I said January and February are 2 tough months. January, I predicted the Badgers to go 4-4 as the same for February. And the Badgers did win some of the games in January that I thought they might lose, but I just want to pull up a schedule for January. 1, 2. Yeah, Badgers ended up going 2-6 in the month of January. Definitely not where I thought they'd be, potentially even a little bit worse, but I did think the Badgers were going to go through a rough stretch in January playing some really good teams. The Badgers they're kind of teetering right now. Whether or not they're going to be able to make the March Madness tournament. Right now, I've seen a lot of places that are having them as one of the last 4 in. We'll see what happens with that. Maybe going in as a lower seed will take off some of the expectations. This is something I said with the Packers, too. If the Packers get in as a 7 seed and they have to play the 2 seed, it's a scenario where there's less expectations. So there's less tension, and that's essentially something that the Badgers can use to their advantage. And, maybe not have to play tense about worrying about being upset by a Colgate or an Iowa State, where they can go and upset a higher seeded team because the higher seeded team is worrying about, what if we lose to Wisconsin that went 2-6 in January? So that's something that I can see with the Badgers there. It's got to be done collectively. So I'm going to say 1-1 in the next week. Hopefully Jake is on here soon. I don't get too deep into the Bucks before I get the chance to ask him about some of the Badgers things that I'm thinking about. But switching to the Bucks, got a lot of good stuff with the Bucks this week. This is, I think I said 7. I think the Bucks can go on a 7-game winning streak. They're on a 5-game winning streak now with the big 3 intact. It's good to see Khris Middleton back. And I'm gonna talk specifically about Khris Middleton in each of these games because he did make my power pair. He didn't have blow the doors off numbers. He averaged 13.5 points, 3 rebounds, 3.5 assists, 1.3 steals over the 4 games against the Pelicans, the Hornets, the Pacers, and the Nuggets. But he did all that in about 17 minutes a game. So very efficient scoring from Khris Middleton. 45% from the field, 33% from the three-point line. Numbers that I expect to get a little bit higher as he gets closer to his midseason form, similar to the rise that Pat Connaughton has had since he was returning from his injury in November. Before last night, where he was 1 for 6 in the three-point line, previously he had made 25 of his last 49 threes. It's over 50% for Pat Connaughton. So people jumping back off of his bandwagon after one poor shooting game, it's a little unfair given the way that he's performed over the last several games and being in the starting lineup. It's really good to see him getting better, getting more efficient. 2 really, really efficient games in the last week. Last night he had 18 points in 20 minutes, and against the Pacers, he had 17 points in 15 minutes. So really good to see that for Khris Middleton. The other one in my power pair, it's no secret, it's Giannis. He's named the Eastern Conference Player of the Week, averaged 39.5 points in the 4 games the Bucks played in the last week. Also 14.3 rebounds, 4.5 assists. He's 59 of 94 from the field. That's 62.8% for Giannis in the last 4 games. Dude's an absolute monster. He should be back in the MVP running. And the Bucks are playing very well with him and Khris Middleton back in the fold. For underrated performer, I went with Wesley Matthews. He was, we started posting the leading scorers and underrated performer for every game. Wesley Matthews, actually 2 games in a row now, was our underrated performer from the games. He's averaged 6.3 points, 5.5 rebounds in the last 4 games, 46.7% from the three-point line in those 4 games. So very, very encouraging to see that from Wesley Matthews, a guy who went some pretty long stretches without playing very many minutes. Now back in a position where he is playing more minutes, and he's making the most of them. So what I want to give credit to Wesley Matthews for is some very timely rebounding. Wesley Matthews is a guy who knows his role, and right now the role that the Bucks need filled is they need a rebounder and a little bit of scoring. That's what Bobby Portis brings to the team. Bobby Portis brings about 14 points, 10 rebounds to every game, and Wesley Matthews bringing 6 points and 5 rebounds, in addition to Pat Connaughton bringing more to the team. Javon Carter bringing some points to the team as well. Khris Middleton being back in the fold helps. Joe Ingles getting some more minutes. You know, it's really been an encouraging team effort for the Bucks to improve on rebounding and pick up the slack with Bobby Portis hurt. Going all the way back to last Wednesday, starting with the Bucks and the Nuggets game. James asked about Giannis being hurt. Last night, Giannis at the end of the game went to try to block a layup attempt, and he kind of slipped into like the big stanchion that holds the hoop. He's kind of limping around after that play, grabbing his leg after the game. Mike Budenholzer was asked about it after the game, and he said everybody's okay. When I get into what's next, I do think Giannis will probably sit tomorrow out. He's been listed as probable with knee soreness for the last 3 games. So I do think we're in a scenario where he possibly sits out tomorrow night. And maybe we're in a scenario where Khris Middleton starts in his place. I think that's kind of where the trend is going. So I do think that that's a possibility for tomorrow. Going back to last Wednesday, I do want to bring up, it's a super popular topic of conversation, but MarJon Beauchamp. Still seeing a lot of people, and I did a 6-minute rant on this last week, complaining that Budenholzer doesn't want to play him, doesn't want to develop him, only plays rookies when he's forced. MarJon Beauchamp has been dealing with some knee tendonitis. He's been listed on the injury report a couple times. He has played a couple games with the Wisconsin Herd. So, he's not going to get mixed in the day after playing the Wisconsin Herd and then going to being on the Bucks bench. It's just not really one of those things that's going to happen. I do still think that there's things that they want Marjon Beauchamp to improve before they start ramping up his minutes in Milwaukee again. And the return of Khris Middleton and the improved play at Pat Connaughton and Grayson Allen, it's going to make minutes a little bit harder to come by for him. Doesn't mean he's not going to develop. It doesn't mean that Budenholzer is going to ruin his career. Just means that the Bucks are in a position where they can be patient with their rookie, let him play some games in the minor leagues, and get more reps, more consistent minutes than just playing the last couple minutes in some garbage time wins. So, starting with the Bucks and the Nuggets game, Drew Holiday. Drew Holiday. That dude does like everything. And going through the games, I'll get to a lot of things that Drew Holiday has done for the Bucks. But 5 quick points in the Bucks game against the Nuggets. Guarding Aaron Gordon. Drew Holiday guarded Aaron Gordon. The Bucks are intentionally, and this is Budenholzer, using Drew Holiday to guard power forwards regularly. We saw against the Knicks, he saw him guarding Julius Randle. We saw him guarding now Aaron Gordon. He's guarded Kevin Durant regularly. It's really, really interesting seeing the way that the Bucks are using Drew Holiday defensively. And then we switch to games like last night, where he's guarding LaMelo Ball and Terry Rozier. The Cavaliers are another example. Drew Holiday guarded Evan Mobley for a while in that game. Drew Holiday, he does a lot for this team. So I want to give him some credit. Really quick, before I get super in-depth into the Bucks, I'm going to ask him, oh, look at who he's got. He's got a guest appearance. I didn't know we had a guest on today.
Say hello. Yeah. Hat? Oh, you want – she wants Nux.
You want fist bump?
Yeah, fist bump. Yeah. Yee. Good job, babe. She's trying.
Here you go.
Good job.
Get it, Winter.
Go by Mama.
We gotta go upstairs.
Go by Mama.
Let's go upstairs. Come on.
You caught me like just about to start talking Bucks and Nuggets. I got like 2 points in on Bucks and Nuggets. So I will jump back to the bad.
I'll be right there.
A little bit of craziness in Jake's house right now. All right, I'll keep you muted for a minute. I'll give you a minute. Okay. I'm going to go back to the Badgers with Jake just because I want to ask him a couple of those questions. Jake, basically the 3 questions that I want to ask you is, one, Give me a record prediction for next week. Justin said I'd rather stare at her and Tyler for another hour. And he said, please keep him muted.
I'd rather stare at Tyler and my daughter, too. My daughter's beautiful.
What does that mean?
Well, let's see.
Am I beautiful?
Oh, you're beautiful, too, obviously.
Sweet.
So the record for next week. I wanted to ask you
basically 3 questions. Yeah, 3 questions. Okay. First one being the record prediction against Ohio State and Northwestern.
Man, the Badgers right now just lack – I don't want to say energy. They just lack a guy that can just take over, like offensively when – because classic Wisconsin, we run what we run. We've talked about this before, but when they get into situations where they need a score, they need a guy that could take over. Last year, that was Johnny Davis, and it made us a phenomenal team because we still play defense. We still rebound. We just didn't have the three-point shooting. I believe Johnny Davis with this three-point shooting would be a dangerous combo, in my opinion. True. So I'll say 1-1. Probably going to lose Ohio State on the road. Our offense struggles on the road. Our offense struggles overall. And then Northwestern is just – we lost to them last time, but I feel like they'll right the ship. They'll get a big win. But it's not a sinking ship at this moment. I said right the ship, so I wanted to point out that it's not a sinking ship, I don't think. I still think that there's plenty of time to get things going in the right direction. But it is becoming urgency has to be raised, in my opinion, at this point.
I've used this now several times. Bryant, who does our Friday Night Packers shows, he said during one of our Packers shows, he said urgency, not panic.
Yeah.
That's really becoming one of my favorite things that's been said on our show is urgency, not panic. I really, really like that from Bryant. Bill said the Badgers aren't lacking focus, but they seem to lack confidence when they need a score.
Yeah, I agree with
could
that.
see that.
I agree with that.
So I named, I think, 3 things. Sending guys for offensive rebounds, potentially picking up pace, and using Connor Esigian as the ball handler in potentially pick and rolls with Tyler Wall or Stephen Crowell. Those were 3 things that I kind of used as potential tweaks, but not a full overhaul in the system with the Badgers. Is there anything specifically you would throw out that the Badgers could improve without going, full overhaul, changing the system completely, or firing Greg Gard?
Well, I'm just going to play off of yours. First of all, the attacking the offensive rebound. We've seen that work for the Bucks this year. That's something that the Bucks. Yeah. Well, I wasn't even here, so we didn't script this.
Yeah, there it is.
That's definitely something that's worked for the Bucks, being a little bit more aggressive on the offensive end, couple of extra possessions. I mean, geez, you saw it last night. I mean, Wesley Matthews was all over the place. He got 3 by himself probably. I didn't even look at the stats, but
he was my underrated performer.
He's a beast, bro. He played really, really well yesterday, overall this week. I got a little weird stat about him if you don't say it, but I'll let you say what you got to say. But also on top of that, the picking up the pace, that's something that, Badgers Nation has talked about for years, literally years. And I think that's something, you bring these kids in that play AAU ball. These are the kind of people that you recruit, right? And you're trying to get better athletes on the floor. You pick up the pace, you're going to get better athletes because these kids are going to see like, oh, okay, they're playing this style. That fits my game a little bit better. You got to make it a little bit more personal. So I think a season could benefit off that, playing a little bit higher pace, more shot attempts. I think Chucky could benefit off that. I don't know who else. Big Steve, he could kind of fit in any offense, really. He's a little bit old school, a little bit new school, but overall, I think picking up the pace is definitely the way to go. If I didn't hear you say that before, I would have said it myself. So that's probably the one thing that I would change, just picking up the pace. You can always tell kids we need to play defense, right? You can always instill that into their mind. That doesn't go away, but allowing kids a little bit more freedom on the offensive end, I think, is the way to go. Like I said, you get all these kids from AAU, so they're coached up to play a fast pace anyways.
Right. So that kind of transitions well into basically the last thing that I wanted to ask you was, where do you see Connor Esigian slotting in for offensive options for the Badgers?
In terms of number?
Yes.
Sheesh. If I was being real and I was the coach, if I was Greg Gard for a second, I would say that he definitely has to be your 3. I would say he has to be your 3.
Okay.
Yes. I would say you let Tyler Wall be Tyler Wall. Tyler Wall is not a scorer, not a natural born scorer. Does he have the ability to score? Yes, but those are 2 different things. I think that Chucky Hepburn has to be your number 1, and you have to have him with that confidence. And I love that Bill brought that up. That was fantastic, Bill, as always. So I think Chucky has to be number 1. I think Big Steve can be number 2. And then I think you slot Esigian in at number 3. And then you just let Tyler Wall fit in where he fits in. Because Tyler Wall is going to do what Tyler Wall does. He's going to get his layups. He's going to get his ugly points. He's going to get his offensive rebounds. If you tell people to go crash offensive rebounds, I guarantee Tyler Wall is their number 1 beneficiary. Number 1.
Yeah, that's fair. And I think Tyler Wall's got the body to set hard but effective screens. If you're talking about a potential screen and roll with Connor Esigian. The other reason I brought up Stephen Crowell in that type of situation is because I said Stephen Crowell could potentially be a pick and pop guy who can step out and hit the threes in certain situations, even though he struggled about it this season. James, I just got some news back to your point asking about if Giannis was okay. Just got the injury report submitted for Friday night's game against the Clippers. Giannis is listed as probable with right knee soreness. That's the same designation he's had for the last 5 games. So that's where we're at with Giannis. So that is encouraging news going forward for the Bucks. Jake, as I was going into the Nuggets game, I did mention that Marjon Beauchamp was dealing with knee tendonitis. He's also listed on the injury report with knee tendonitis, but he is also listed as probable.
Okay.
So that said, give me your power pair and your underrated performer.
Okay, so power pair. I'm sure you already talked all the Giannis stats that you could up to this point.
I gave a bunch.
All right, so obviously Giannis had to be in there. I mean, the guy averaged 39.5, 14 rebounds, and 4.5 assists. He shot 59 of 94 overall. That's 62%. And he shot 6 of 14 behind the arc. That's not too shabby. That's 42%. He shoots 6 of 14 behind the arc every week. He's going to be averaging 39 for a lot of weeks. Drew Holiday. Drew Holiday had kind of a rough shooting week. He shot 45% from the field and 25% behind the arc. He still averaged 18 points, 8.5 rebounds, and 5 assists. That's your third option. And I understand right now he's probably your second option, but when Khris becomes Khris, the Khris that we know and we've loved, he becomes your third option. 18, 8, and 5 from your third option. And he has the ability to shoot much better behind the arc. We've seen that. And then my underrated performer is not an underrated guy. And I saw him in a trade today, and it made me sick to my stomach. I saw Pat Connaughton get in a trade rumor.
Oh, my God.
I'm just going to tell you that.
One that I saw, too, that I almost –
was it the one for the Raptors?
Facebook.
For Gary Trent Jr.?
Yeah.
Yeah, I saw that. I was like, hell no. I said that immediately. I saw Pat in a Raptor. I said, hell no. And then I kept scrolling.
It was, oh my God. This is probably one of the worst trades that I've seen hypothetically put out there. Seeing Knicks fans suggest that we trade Cam Reddish for Grayson Allen straight up was up there, but this one was worse than that. The proposed trade was Grayson Allen, Pat Connaughton, and a first-round pick for Gary Trent.
I said, I like Gary Trent. I told you that, but no.
Yeah. No. Hell no.
Hell no.
That's an awful deal.
Yeah. So real quick before we get back into the Nuggets game here, he averaged 12, 8, and 2. He shot 17 to 35. Easy math, that's 50%. And then 12, 25 on the arc, that's 48%. Definitely livable numbers. He definitely picked it up after Bobby went out. I'm sure you talked about his quote after the game for the Nuggets.
I got it. I'm going to save it for when we get into the game.
I knew you would have that, but he had a great game against the Nuggets. So with that being said, I'll have some more stats when we are completely finished with the games. And let's get into the Nuggets. You can pick up where you left off.
So the first two things that I mentioned with the Bucks and the Nuggets game was Drew scoring 5 quick points. And then I mentioned him guarding Aaron Gordon. And I talked about the power forwards that Drew Holiday has guarded. Khris Middleton comes in off the bench, played really good defense on Jeff Green, actually. Hit a 3, got to the free throw line. The Bucks, however, oh, man, the first quarter was rough. And part of this stems from the way that Giannis was playing, because Giannis was doing his regular thing, but he was not getting any foul calls. Giannis was playing through so much contact, and I don't want to hear shit about anybody playing through more contact than Giannis Antetokounmpo does. It's not close. It's really not at this point.
Yeah.
And part of it was because there were not really any foul calls for Giannis, but he lost the ball a few times in situations where he'd normally get foul calls. But the Bucks had 9 turnovers in the first quarter.
My gosh.
That was rough. They cleaned it up in the second quarter. They only had 3 turnovers in the second quarter. The Bucks went on a nice second quarter run, actually, with Giannis on the bench. And, this is a scenario where you mentioned that this would be the 3-1. You mentioned the Nuggets game would be the one that they lost. And I told you I would at you if they won, but you obviously
they didn't have Jokic, so I feel like it's.
I know. I was getting there. I was going to get out of jail free card that Jokic, KCP, Michael Porter, and Jamal Murray weren't playing.
Yeah.
But I give credit to Denver. They didn't change their identity playing without 4 starters. So I give credit to Mike Malone, actually, who is a coach in the NBA that I actually have a lot of respect for having efficient offensive systems. So I do give credit to Denver for that. Giannis had 3 fouls in the first half, so he did play a little bit less. Actually, when he got his 3rd foul, Budenholzer kept him in. Giannis wanted to stay in, and Budenholzer kept him in, so there's trust there. Oh, this was Pat Connaughton. Pat Connaughton hit a three, followed by Drew Holiday pressing Bruce Brown at half court and forcing an over and back turnover. We got a little bit of Khris Middleton and Giannis two-man game. That might be my favorite thing to return with these two back in the lineup together, is seeing the two of them running pick and roll together. Yep. I swear it is one of the most unstoppable things in the entire NBA is Khris Middleton and Giannis running the pick and roll. I swear the Badgers score or the Bucks score every single time they run it. I swear. Every time.
Well, they have such a connection, and you can tell that they just – it's kind of like going back to football, like Rodgers and Adams, like they just knew where each other was going to be. Like they knew they're both dependable in certain situations, and that's how I feel where Giannis and Khris are. It's just like they both understand each other. They both know how to adjust to certain things. They play with each other so long, dude. Like they've seen it all,
James said, I've always thought it was the fact that the bigger and more aggressive you play, the less fouls are going to get called in your favor. I don't agree with that. Not in the strict sense of the literal words, but I mean, if Giannis is going and he's getting his arms hacked, like it shouldn't just be that because he's bigger and stronger that they don't call fouls. That's not how that should go. That's basically.
Do I say it? Do I say it? Do I say it?
Might as well.
LeBron is bigger and stronger than everybody. He didn't get a foul call at the end of the game versus Celtics.
Yeah,
just because he's bigger and stronger than everybody, they expect him to fight through that. That was a foul. I'm sorry, it was.
Yeah. It's the scenario where, like, I get that you're saying it's bigger and stronger. They should be able to play through more contact, but that doesn't mean that they're not fouls.
That exactly. That's exactly how I feel about Giannis too. That's how I felt about Shaq back in the day. That's how I feel about a lot of big men. And big men aren't allowed to cry about foul calls
unless your name's Joel Embiid. What?
No, he flops. Let's not
kid
ourselves.
I said this to you last week. I'm like, if Joel Embiid could, I think he would choose to play his entire career on the perimeter.
100%. And you know who else would do that? Anthony Davis. No doubt in my mind. No doubt in my mind.
I agree with you on that too. So first half, Pat Connaughton was 4 for 4 from the field, had 11 points. Drew Holiday had 13 points in the first half. And all right, I did bring up Khris and Giannis running their two-man game. It was awesome to see Khris Middleton get a steal on Aaron Gordon and then hit a full court cross-court pass to Pat Connaughton for another three. Dude, we are in a scenario now where this is our third season covering the Bucks. The first year we covered the Bucks, they won the championship, and then we had last year. So this is our third season covering the Bucks. Khris Middleton's passing is still underrated.
Crazy. Why?
It is crazy. 3.5 assists in 17 minutes a game for a small forward.
And a guy that's looked at as a scorer, not too shabby.
I mean, it's still underrated. And he makes good passes. It's not like he's just throwing alley-oops to Giannis all day.
Right. Or down low to Brook, right.
Or just running dribble handoffs to guys who shoot threes. Like he's
I agree with that.
So seeing Khris Middleton making those passes after getting a steal, I was surprised that he's averaging 1.3 steals in 17 minutes a game in the 4 games.
Dude, he plays passing lanes very well. I won't lie. That's one thing that
he's gotten a couple strips too.
Yeah,
he's picked some pockets. This game unfortunately was similar to the Illinois game for the Badgers, where they had some turnovers coming out of halftime. The Bucks 2 turnovers to start the third quarter, 3 turnovers in the first 2 minutes, 4 turnovers in the first 2 minutes and 45 seconds. That was a little rough. I think that's part of what contributed to this game ending up to be a little bit closer than it would have been expected with a bunch of starters out. But Bucks threw a lot of different guys at Aaron Gordon. A lot of different guys. Khris guarded him for a little bit. Giannis guarded him not quite as much. Drew Holiday guarded him. But a lot of guys thrown at Aaron Gordon. He's good. He's really actually, since he's gotten out of Orlando, I think he's really broken the mold of being a guy that just plays around the rim and is really athletic and dunks a lot.
Well, there's something to be said for that too, because we're seeing him on TV a lot more too. So people are actually seeing his actual game. So playing next to Jokic definitely makes things a little bit easier, but there was no Jokic in this game, and he was still balling. I think his three-point shot might be the thing that's improved the most to give him a little bit of space. But if you're going to survive around Jokic, you better be able to shoot threes. Because
I did bring up Mike Malone too as a good coach, so I think that could be a factor.
And Bruce Brown, dude. Bruce Brown has turned into a player. Like, he is a good player. He's not just an energy guy off the bench anymore. That is a good player. That Denver's got a very, very good team.
Yeah.
Fully healthy, they're scary.
Yeah. If Denver was a little bit deeper, like I'd have them up in the tier with the Bucks and the Celtics.
Well, I agree with that. I think that they're right below it though.
Right. I think they're in the contender, but not in the favorites category.
I think only the Bucks and Celtics should be favorites.
I agree.
And you know how much that pains me because, God damn it, I hate the Celtics.
I know they're really annoying, but it is what it is. So Giannis ended up getting into the free throw line way more in the second half, arguably disproportionately to the first half. He shot 22 free throws in this game. 21 of them were in the second half. It was a lot. It was a lot. Fourth quarter, Pat Connaughton was still hot. Grayson Allen was playing really good defense, actually, for most of this game. Brooks struggled a little bit. He did still finish with 4 blocks. Khris Middleton only played 15 minutes. I did say when I did my power pair, I had Khris in it, that I would mention how many minutes Khris Middleton was playing, because I do think it signals that we're leading to something.
Yep.
15 minutes he played, 10 points, 3 assists, 2 rebounds. Giannis, he did have 9 turnovers. He was part of that first quarter where he wasn't getting a lot of foul calls, losing the ball a little bit. But 33 points, 14 rebounds, 4 assists, 3 steals. Just another full day at the office for Giannis. Ryan Clark is a Rodgers hater. That is well documented, Bernard. Fully well documented that Ryan Clark is a Rodgers hater. James said, I'm still trying to figure out how to be able to keep up with the game on Valentine's Day. Hey,
guess you have COVID that day. Guess you have COVID that day, buddy.
Yeah, I got COVID that day. That'll be a really entertaining game. I hope neither team ends up in a load management situation with that game.
Oh, I sure hope not. I don't want the Bucks to get to that game and then Giannis has knee soreness. Like, no, I don't want to see that, bro.
I know. I want to see
Jason Tatum as a
conference finals preview. That's what I want.
Give us what we want, man. Give us what we want. And there's only 2 games separating us at this point. So, I mean, still anybody could get the 1 seed. And that's going to be important. Don't kid yourself.
So, Drew Holiday, 20 points, 5 rebounds, 3 assists, did have 5 turnovers. Grayson Allen, 7 points, which Grayson Allen gets a lot of flack every time he doesn't score more than 15. But he had 7 points, but he also had 5 rebounds and 3 steals. Justin said, plan a dinner out the day before or after Valentine's Day and say that's the night out. That's what I'm doing. Nice.
Secret safe with me, Justin. Secret safe with me.
I caught you on the Wisco Fanatics show. They read your comment. Bernard asked, do y'all think Giannis is the GOAT? I think he is the greatest Buck of all time.
Yes.
Right now, as far as all-time ranks, he's probably somewhere like 15 to 20-ish.
He's not even the best power forward of all time yet. He's got to pass Tim Duncan, but
number 2.
He'll get there, I think. He's got to win a couple more titles, obviously. Maybe 1 or 2 more MVPs would help. Maybe another Defensive Player of the Year would definitely help. But no, he's not the greatest of all time. We're not that biased.
Right.
I think we're both in agreement that Jordan's probably the greatest player of all time. Although I would definitely, and
when LeBron passes Kareem, it's going to get a lot harder.
It's going to definitely get a lot harder. He's like number 4 now in assists. He just did that last night, I believe. He's up to number 4 in assists, and he's going to be the number 1 scorer. I don't care about finals record. We're talking about individual player, right? And me and Tyler talk about quarterback record. We hate that. Throw that out. I hate the finals record for just a single player acting like not everybody helped you get there or win.
It's a little different in the NBA because you're 1 of 5, not 1 of 22.
I know, I get that, but then
so it's a little bit different. But overall, I still agree with you. Basketball is still a team sport.
I mean, at 22 years old, was he beating the Spurs? No. I mean, the Heat years, the Mavs series. I tell people all the time that's the only series that I hold against LeBron. He played bad in that series. Dwayne Wade did his thing. Chris Bosh was all right. But when you're LeBron James, you're supposed to be LeBron James in the finals. That's the only one I hold back. But, I mean, and then you go against the Warriors. Name another superstar with J.R. Smith that's going to go up against those Warriors and beat them.
Yeah.
Not even Jordan. And I don't want to hear that.
Nah,
Not
Jordan,
on those Cavs teams.
Yeah, I don't think Jordan's beating them. Not with KD.
Okay. That's a good argument. I could definitely see that as an argument. Jordan played both sides of the court better. See, I'll agree to that.
That's fair.
Jordan was a better defender overall. I think LeBron is a more versatile defender.
Sure.
But
he's bigger.
It's just the comparing the eras thing is just so tough, and it's a little overplayed at this point. Let's just call it what it is. So it's tough. I mean, LeBron can be the GOAT of his era.
I think where I'm going to end up being is if you say one guy is, I'll agree with you, and if you say the other guy is, I'll probably still agree with you.
Because you can make arguments for both, right? Right. So I'm with you on that.
Splitting hairs.
Yeah.
As far as the Bucks go, Giannis is the best Buck. He was the best Buck last season when he passed Kareem Abdul-Jabbar for the most points in franchise history. So Giannis is the best Buck. Middleton is rising in those ranks too. I'll look it up, but he's rising in the ranks for all-time Bucks players.
Yeah, and we just had the discussion a couple weeks ago about best point guards that we've seen play for the Bucks, and Drew Holiday is easily number 2 when you think about it.
Yep.
2 or 3.
Yep.
He's in the top 3. So you look at this team. This team overall might be the most talented team the Bucks have ever had. I'll say.
I would agree with that 100%.
That's not a crazy statement.
That's not at all. Because I mean, like you got the 3 All-Stars, one of them being an MVP, and then you throw in Brook Lopez, who's just blocking shots like crazy.
True.
Now, the Celtics have a longer history, so that's definitely a tough one.
I would
all the eras.
I would say Bird.
Yeah.
In my opinion. Him and Magic brought the NBA to what it is today. And no disrespect to Bill Russell, but Bill Russell, that's like the people that talk about like the Packers back in the day, and we could talk about that, right? Like, there was like 6 teams back then. Like, of course, we're gonna win a bunch of titles. We have the best players. And all that
Bill
stuff,
Russell is known more for his number of rings than he is for his style of play.
Yeah. Although it is a little unfair they didn't track blocks back then. Little unfair for him because he might be pretty high.
Chamberlain would be the GOAT if they did.
Oh, 100%. He's the GOAT, bro. He would have freaking 10,000 blocks. You're like, I'm not even shocked.
Right? Will Chamberlain averaged 13 blocks a game for his career.
It's not shocked. It's also as many women as he hung out with after the game.
13 a night.
13 a night.
Oh, Jesus. What's up, Isaac? So Pat Connaughton, back to the Nuggets game, had 19 points, 12 rebounds, 2 assists, 2 steals. He was asked after the game about his performance. This is probably one of the most wholesome things that I've ever heard from Pat Connaughton. Mm-hmm. And he says, I wish I could have had 20 and 10 because that's what Bobby does.
Right in the feels, you bastard.
Oh, Pat Connaughton. What a guy. As if we needed another reason to love Pat Connaughton.
We have all the reasons.
Yeah, he really do have all the reasons. So I mentioned the Giannis's free throws. He had 21 of his 22 attempts in the second half. That is the most out of any player in any half this season. At 21, that's the most in a half. So this was kind of rough, and I do give credit to the Nuggets for playing tough. The Bucks missed 8 free throws. This is rough. 23 points off turnovers for Denver and 21 second chance points.
Oh my God.
That's 52 fundamental failure points. This game was sloppy for the Bucks. This is a scenario where the Bucks came in knowing that they were playing against a team down 4 starters, and they kind of played like it a little bit.
I will say this. I saw a lot of people like, oh, if Jokic would have played, we would have lost. First of all, that changes everything. Second of all, Jokic is basically a layup line in the middle. Like, he does not play defense. So that would have changed everything right there. That's all I'm going to say about that. If those players play, everything changes. So we don't know who wins, and we're not going to play hypothetical. So we won the game. It is what it is.
True. It's good enough for me. Was there what stood out to you from that Bucks and Nuggets game last Wednesday?
First of all, the first thing I want to say is, God damn it, is that court beautiful? That court with those jerseys is freaking – it's one of the most beautiful things in the league. Yes, I'm biased when I say that. I don't care. That blue, for some reason, is just like – I love that blue.
It looks nice. It does.
It does. I'll just say the turnovers, you've been killing that the whole time, and I agree. The sloppiness really, really stuck out to me. And I just wanted to give credit to Aaron Gordon. I think Aaron Gordon has really, really improved. That's the only other thing I have in my notes. The things that stuck out to me is I'm watching that game, and like I said about Bruce Brown already, but like I was watching that game, and Giannis is doing his thing that I'm used to, and everybody else is contributing, and Pat Connaughton was on fire, which obviously I loved. But then all of a sudden I'm like, Aaron Gordon again. And then he hit the 1-3 in the fourth quarter, and he looked at the Bucks bench, and I was like, oh, okay, he's hooping. Okay, he's hooping right now. And I just wanted to give credit to him because we're allowed to do that every once in a while.
Yeah, and that's totally a fair thing to do, and I think it's a good thing to do when your opponents play well, is to show respect for them.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's a really good thing for us to do specifically because I think it detracts from any potential bias that people could say that we have by giving credit to opponents where it's due.
We just said that Giannis is not the GOAT when we could easily just say Giannis is the GOAT. There's nobody ever better.
Yeah.
We could just do that easily.
Yeah.
We're not.
And it is easy. Like you just say that Giannis has a DPOY and an MVP in the same season. And LeBron's never done that, so Giannis is better than LeBron.
They often do, Bill. They often do. I'll say that. That's kind of the area where we die because Brook plays so far back.
I was just going to say, I'm going to address actually both of the last two comments. Bill said, is it just me or are teams getting great looks from 6 to 8 feet on the Bucks defense? Bill, that's where the Bucks want you to shoot.
Yep.
They want anywhere basically from 8 to about 15 feet is where the Bucks want you to shoot. They don't want you getting too close so that you're scoring at a higher rate, and they don't want you shooting threes because they're worth an extra point. They want you shooting mid-range. That's what the Bucks want you to shoot. They want you to shoot mid-range and floaters and make you try to beat them that way. That's the lowest percentage 2-point shot. That's obviously worth one less point than the 3-point shot. That's where the Bucks want you to shoot.
Yep.
And then James said, I'm not going to lie, I don't live for what ifs. You just have to take results as they happen. That's very well said. What ifs and dwelling on them, that's really just a recipe to put yourself through a bunch of emotional turmoil that you don't need to put yourself through.
Packers fans could listen to that. What if we trade Aaron Rodgers for this? What if Rodgers doesn't come back? What if we
would have traded Aaron Rodgers 2 years ago? Where would Jordan Love be? Like doing all that, like you're just concerning yourself with things that will never happen.
Well, what if I won the lottery?
Exactly.
A lot of things could happen if I won the lottery.
Right. Bill said, now that I know that, I'll stop swearing at my TV. Hey, glad we can help, Bill. Hopefully save you from a little bit of emotional turmoil.
I'll swear on my TV for you, Bill.
On that note, and you did bring up the all-time point guards and a little bit of the GOAT discussion. This did bring us back to something we mentioned last week was potentially live streaming Jake and I watching the 2001 Eastern Conference Finals. That is something we're going to do this summer. We're going to start in the end of June, like right around when the finals are ending, after the Bucks are raising their another banner. We're going to start watching the Eastern Conference Finals on Friday nights. So we're going to live stream those. We're going to watch the games, and Jake and I will be on screen as well. And having the knowledge of the game that we have now that we didn't have when we were kids in the early 2000s, because Jake and I were both born in the early 90s. And we're 8 years old watching the games.
Yeah.
We're gonna stream us watching them, and that'll be fun. So that'll be June and July. That'll be Friday nights. Every Friday night we're gonna watch one of the games from that 7-game series against the 76ers, and we might do a bonus one after it watching interviews of George Karl and Ray Allen talking about the refs potentially fixing those games to get Allen Iverson into the finals to face off against Kobe Bryant and the Lakers.
Big city versus big city, man. It makes sense.
Big name, big city. Yep.
Yeah.
All right, let's go to the Pacers game. What stood out to you from that game from Friday night?
Man, we shot the ball well. That's the first thing I noticed. 53% from the field, 52 of 98. That is fantastic. 18 of 43 from me on the arc. That's 42%. Also very livable. 50 rebounds. The assist to turnover ratio was 2-1. That's much better than it was against the Nuggets because we had 16 assists and 23 turnovers versus the Nuggets. Horrible. And then 32 assists. That means that everybody was touching the ball. Energy was great. The 58 points in the paint is good. The free throw percentage, not good. 19 of 31. But the one thing I wanted to talk about, I forgot to bring this up with the Nuggets, is I tracked Giannis's free throws late. Against the Nuggets, he was 6 of 7. And against the Pacers, when they were doing a hack of Giannis, he went 5 of 7. So, I mean, that's wonderful for him to be able to – the thing, and they talked about it. I forgot who was calling the game. But he talked about Giannis's ability. This is what great players do. Yes, everybody knows that he's not a great free throw shooter. He has the ability to just turn it on when he has to. And that's what great players do. Giannis may not be a jump shooter, but shit, we're about to talk about it next game. When he had to make some jump shots, he made some jump shots, right? When he has to go to the free throw line and make free throws, for some reason, and this is what separates him from the human race, in my opinion, is he could just make himself do it. And that's a wonderful thing for us to have. I also was going to point out that we now have a 10-game win streak versus the Pacers by an average margin of 15 points per game. The last time we lost to the Indiana Pacers was March 4th of 2020. We've almost gone 3 years. 3 calendar years without losing to the Pacers.
And this isn't like a scenario where the Bucks didn't win in Utah since 2001. That game only happens once a year. We're talking 4 games a year against the Pacers because they're both in the Central Division. That's
crazy, dude. Like, we got them and the Bulls. We just get free wins. Well, not this year against the Bulls, I guess, which is really.
I lost 1. Ooh.
Yeah.
Cool. Remember after they beat us in Game 2 in the playoffs last year, and they're like, Bulls in 5. LOL.
Don't worry, I'll never forget that because I laughed so goddamn hard I almost pissed my pants. I was like, you can't be serious, bro. You think DeRozan's just gonna go for 50 every game? You think he's prime Jordan?
Oh, that was funny. That made me laugh.
Go ahead, buddy.
All right. So Khris Middleton off the bench again. Pat Connaughton still hot. Started 3 for 3 behind the 3-point line. Had 9 points and 3 rebounds in like the first 4 minutes of the game. It was cool to see. I don't want this to happen a lot, but Giannis was setting up a post fade and he passed out of it to Joe Ingles, who hit a 3. The only thing that I don't like about that is like it's a fundamental of the game is that you don't leave your feet to pass. That's the only reason I didn't really particularly care for that. But worked for Giannis in this specific instance. Drew Holiday hit a cross-court pass to Joe Ingles for a 3. Brook Lopez hit a deep 3. Wesley Matthews hit a buzzer-beater 3. I mean, first quarter, the Bucks were 9 of 16 from the 3-point line. That's nuts.
Yes, it is.
The Bucks ended the first quarter on a 15-3 run. Had 11 assists in the first quarter alone.
Yeah, that kind of set the tone for the whole game.
It really did. Ball movement in the second quarter, just fantastic. Giannis hit Javon Carter for a 3. Javon Carter scored. This is nuts. Javon Carter scored 10 points in the second quarter in 2.5 minutes.
I was going to bring it up, man, because I know you wanted to talk about it too. I was trying to wait, but he's been playing really well since he came out of his slump because he was in a little bit of offensive slump for a while there. All of a sudden, he's back up, man.
We'll just keep talking about him every game. Totally fine with that.
Yes.
Khris Middleton scored 17 points in the first half. Didn't hit a single 3 to get those 17.
Oof.
Bro, if you're getting cooked by Khris Middleton and he's not even hitting 3s on you,
you're in trouble.
we're in a scenario where if he's not on a minutes restriction, like he's putting up 30 or 40 on you.
Oh, easy.
Maybe more. Ask Washington.
Yeah.
For those that don't get it, Khris Middleton scored 50 points against the Wizards. Hit a full court pass to Drew Holiday. And all right, I'm going to say one more thing, and then I'm going to get back into Khris Middleton. Bucks had 19 assists, only 7 turnovers in the first half of this game. That is fucking fantastic.
Chef's kiss.
Oh, that was so good. Now, I want to get back to Khris Middleton because I saw people questioning why Budenholzer wasn't spreading his minutes out if he was only going to play 15 minutes a game.
Mm-hmm.
Why would you take your hot hand out of the game when he's playing really well strictly for the sake of spreading out his minutes?
I don't know, man.
No, you leave him in the game and you see how many he can score.
Yeah.
Like if dude's in a good scoring rhythm and he's in the zone, you don't take him out of the game just so you can spread out his minutes. What the fuck?
Yeah, man. Let him use all his minutes.
Yeah, exactly. Like I don't care when he plays them. If he plays them and he's playing well, leave him in the game.
Yeah.
Okay. So going into the second half, the Pacers, I will give the Pacers credit because they're one of the worst teams in the Eastern Conference, which is true, but they are top in the league in fast break points, and they have the most double-digit comebacks in the NBA. They hit a lot of threes, and like I just mentioned, they're number one in fast break points. Both of those things. The Hornets are actually pretty good at this as well, and we'll talk about that in a minute. But those are things that can get you back into games quickly. So, we're talking, if the Pacers get a couple more good wing players, Pacers are maybe 3-4 years away from being a problem.
Yeah.
So I will give the Pacers credit for that. Giannis was struggling on free throws a little bit. And Steve Novak brought up a similar thing that I've said, and that's the Bucks play style changes when they have a big lead.
Yeah.
They get a little sloppy. They start getting a little nonchalant with their passes. The shot selection goes down a little bit. So I just want to bring up that Steve Novak said something that I've said, so that makes me sound smart. You just got to keep playing the way that got you the lead is exactly what he said. You just got to keep playing the way that got you the lead. There was less ball movement in the second half, which is something that I always make sure to bring up when they're doing it well, is the ball movement. When the ball movement's good, that's when the Bucks are just so damn good because they have so many guys that can score and so many guys that can shoot three-pointers. Like basically everybody except for Giannis is over 30%.
And a threat for sure.
Exactly. So, and I'm going to say this. I think ball movement won the Warriors at least one of their titles.
Oh, easily.
That's something that the Warriors are so good at is keeping the ball moving. And I would say the Spurs too. Being disciplined to make good passes and a lot of them to pass up good shots for great shots, and then having guys that can hit those shots, that makes you damn near unbeatable. I'm not gonna lie.
I mean, under Budenholzer, the Hawks won 60 games when they had no business just because of ball movement alone.
Yeah. They had their entire starting five named as the Eastern Conference Player of the Week once.
That is insane. That'll never happen.
That's still such a weird thing. Isaac brought up another good one, the Magic as well, when they made the finals with Dwight Howard. That's a good point.
That team's a little underrated, in my opinion. Everybody talks
we're
about
talking like Hedo Turkoglu was damn near an all-star.
Bro, Hedo Turkoglu was hooping, man. Rashard Lewis, bro, he was hooping. Yeah. Jameer Nelson,
Jameer Nelson, yeah.
They were balling, man.
Yeah. They had one other guard, too. I'm drawing a blank on his name.
Was it JJ or no?
No, not JJ. I want to say it was number 10, and I can't remember his name now.
God damn it. Now I'm going to look.
It's not Keith Bogans because it was after that.
What was that, 2008?
2000, yeah, it would have been 08, 09.
2008 Magic roster.
I'm not going to bug me.
All right, let's see.
Isaac said Hedo was the ugliest man and still hit shots. Ersan was ugly too, but he hit shots and took charges.
Rafer Alston, maybe?
No.
It was Tyronn Lue who was number 10, by the way.
Tyronn Lue.
They did have J.J. Redick, Hidu Turku, Mikhail Petrus. Remember him? Oh man,
yeah.
Courtney Lee, young
Courtney Lee might have been it. That
Courtney
might be
Lee.
who I was thinking of.
Marcin Gortat. God, Jesus. Now I just
think it was not Greg Anthony.
No, it was probably.
It was
JJ
probably Courtney Lee. Courtney Lee might have been the one I was thinking of.
Yeah, one of those two. But that was a pretty damn good roster for 2008.
Yeah, Isaac said Courtney Lee too. So ball movement, super important. And I mentioned where Giannis was struggling on free throws. I think that's arguably where Khris Middleton has missed the most.
Yeah.
There's late game situations where team are looking to foul on purpose. Because Grayson, while he is a very good free throw shooter, and Drew Holiday has been the best in his career, he's shooting a career high on free throw percentage this season. Drew isn't, I don't want to say he's not reliable because he is, because he's awesome. He does for his career shoot in the upper 70s. And then for Grayson Allen, he just doesn't have quite the ability that Khris Middleton does to get open just to get the ball to him. Khris Middleton has like 4 inches on Grayson Allen, and just that scorer's ability to get the ball to him. So that's where I'll say that Khris Middleton is missed.
I think the only argument I could make against that, if I could play devil's advocate real quick, would be Chris's poise in those pressure moments.
Yep.
I think, and this might sound crazy, so just stick with me for a sec, because Giannis is the man on this team, and I'm not saying that he's not. But in those pressure moments, who does everybody, including Giannis, look to when we need to make a call on offense? When we need a ball handler, when we need a playmaker, if ball goes right into Chris's hands, and he makes the decision whether to shoot or pass. And again, Giannis is the man. He had 50 in the finals game, but I'm telling you, without Khris Middleton, and Drew Holiday made plays too, without Khris Middleton, we don't win a title.
And
point period.
The word that we didn't use yet, and it's the word that I was kind of searching for, is that during that finals run, and I think just on this team in general, I think Khris Middleton is the closer still.
Yeah, I would agree. I think Giannis has taken some big steps.
Oh, I agree, 100%.
He's almost been forced to, which, if you think about Giannis's career, him being forced to do something and learn, it's almost like it's a huge benefit for us, because Jason Kidd put him in some situations like, okay, you're 6'9" now, okay, go be the point guard then. Okay, well, you're going to turn the ball over a lot, you're going to make bad decisions, you're going to be late on passes, but you know what that did? It forced him to learn. Yeah. And without Khris this year, and in the playoffs last year, he had to do a lot of growing up. Not only in the leadership aspect, which we've talked about before, basketball IQ aspect, which we've also talked about, because we're both really, really smart people and we need to be recognized. But also in the closer aspect, I think that he was just asked in an interview if he's improved, and he said he hasn't shown it yet. And if that doesn't fucking scare you,
dude, he literally said
heart.
He's only reached 60% of his capability. He believes he has 2 more levels to go.
That's not okay.
He said that after he dropped 50.
That's not
He's
okay.
Like, dude, ask him about 50. He's like, I got 2 more levels.
Like, fucking what? Like, what? What are you talking about, bro?
So, against the Pacers, Giannis had 41 points, 12 rebounds, 6 assists. Drew had 20 points, 9 rebounds, 9 assists. Khris Middleton had his 17 points all in the first half. Also had 4 rebounds, 4 assists, and 2 steals. Brook Lopez bounced back nicely from the field. He was 2 for 11 against the Nuggets, 5 for 8 against the Pacers. Pat Connaughton had 14 more points, 8 more rebounds, and 3 steals while shooting 4 for 6 in the three-point line. Grayson Allen had 13 points, 4 assists, 2 rebounds. Javon Carter had 12 points, 2 rebounds, 2 assists. I mean, damn. You're talking about a dude where a guy dropped 40 and we still had 5 players in double figures.
Yikes. We didn't even have our best bench player, dude. Teams are so screwed. I cannot wait for the playoffs. I mean, I can, but bro, Boy, I tell you what.
So the Bucks missed 12 free throws, gave up 12 second chance points, 13 points off turnovers, fundamental failure totaled 37 points. It's not terrible. It's a little bit above their average, but Bill said basically Giannis put the NBA on notice. If you think he's good now, just wait. I think he put the NBA on notice as in, I'm MVP caliber, but I know I can still be better, and I'm going to strive for that. With a dude with Giannis's work ethic, like Jake said, that should scare you.
Isaac, we're taking out the Celtics, bro. Giannis, if there's one human being and you grew up, not grew up, but you watch Kobe Bryant, if there is one player who has the Mamba mentality, miss me with Jason Tatum and his corny ass antics, wearing the sleeve and then wearing the Kobe shirt where he's wearing the Boston shirt. Miss me with that. Actions speak louder than words. And that has always been true in life, not just in sports, not just out of sports. Actions speak louder than words. And you want to talk about a guy that remembers, first of all, that feeling of losing, and the guy that's going to put in the work. We have the best leader in the NBA. Giannis did not forget.
I know I've said this before, but the season where we went from scrawny Giannis to the picture of him in the white tank top where he's holding the dumbbells, bro, that Giannis, how jacked he is now compared to how skinny he was when he came in. I don't know how you put anybody's work ethic above that. That's absolutely insane.
James, I'm not saying that he did, but there are people in the media who have said that, he has the Mamba mentality and that he's the next great superstar.
I've seen it with Devin Booker too.
Tatum wants no smoke with Giannis when it really becomes time. That's all I'm going to say. He wants no smoke. He can't handle Giannis when it matters.
All right. So let's go to the game.
Oh, boy. I'm going to let you have your stats. I got a couple stats too, but I don't want to say them if you have them.
You can say them. Rest assured, I've got more.
Okay, I'll just start with mine. This is his 10th 40-point game of the year.
Yeah.
He had 10 last year in 67 games. He has 10 now in 39 games. Also his second 50-point game of the year. Yep. So that's nuts. That's the only two that I'm going to steal from you. I'm going to let you have the rest.
That's his 25th 30-point game of the season.
25th 30-point game? Holy shit. He's only played 39! Holy shit, bro. So he's only had 14 games where he didn't score 30.
Yeah.
And I almost guarantee that most of them, he's within a shot. 27 or more. I can almost guarantee that.
Probably most of them.
The thing that really jumps out at you when you look at this is both teams only had 12 turnovers. The Bucks ended up with 27 assists. The Pelicans with 25. So both teams moved the ball well, didn't turn the ball over a lot. The Bucks killed them on the boards, 57-38. We manhandled those little dudes.
That's 3-2. That's literally 3-2.
That is disgusting. When the Bucks are at their best when they can control rebounding and they shoot the ball, which sounds like super generic, but not every team has the ability to do both. That's all I'm going to say. True. There's levels to this. So some teams are really good rebounding, some teams are really good shooting. Some teams, only certain teams can do both. And I'll give credit again to the Celtics because they can do both as well. They can play really physical. And, when you have Brown and Tatum, which we've said is the best tandem in the league, when both those dudes are hitting threes, they're pretty damn good. Giannis, though, dude, Jesus Christ. I'm watching this guy Euro step, spin, do whatever the hell he wants for as long as he wants. And that second three that he hit, dude, holy hype, dude. He hit the first one, and I was like, oh, shit, he's got a chance for 50. Because he got the 44, and then 47. I was like, oh, shit. He said, pass the ball in. Give the ball back to me, Drew. Now get the hell out of my way. But Drew set a good screen, I will say, to force that switch. Giannis said, I don't need a switch. I'm pulling up from Curry range, bro. That shit was disgusting. If he does that on a regular basis, you're fucked. That's it.
All right. So, on your point on the assists, the Bucks are now 24-4 when they have more than 23 assists in a game.
Wow.
24-4.
Holy shit. That's a good I'll take that.
James said I love when they drafted the Jays, but I didn't think they'd become what they are. Hey, that's the best. That's the best. Where you draft a guy and you don't have the incredibly high expectations, and then they exceed anything you could have even thought they would be. Bill said when he held the pose after the last three was classic. Giannis basically owned this game from wire to wire.
Yeah.
He started 6 for 6, getting to the rim basically at will, scored 12 of the first 17 points, and assisted on 2 of the other ones. So he scored or assisted on 14 of the first 17 points. Khris Middleton's 2 for 2 start in the first quarter. He missed a 3, and then Drew Holiday got the rebound. Chris cut back door, and we got to see Khris Middleton throw a dunk down in this game.
Bro, too. How hype was that too?
Dude, that was a good one too. It wasn't just like a rim grazer. Like he grabbed the rim. It was a loud dunk, and I'm like he's feeling good. He's feeling good.
Behind that one.
Giannis had 18 points in the first quarter. 14 of them were in the paint.
Jesus, yeah, and he had the one monster dunk too. I love those. Might be my favorite Giannis dunks. The vertical.
Seeing Valanciunas underneath the rim like this because he didn't want to get hit with the ball, like that was good.
Yeah, those are the best ones.
Jordan, there was one possession in the first quarter. Actually, it was the first half. Sorry, where Jordan Nwora and Grayson Allen both got offensive rebounds on the same possession and led to a Giannis layup. Bucks were getting threes from a handful of players again. Bucks made 17 threes. Only 5 of them were in the first half. 9 different players combined to make those 17 threes.
Jesus.
We're talking about a team that has a lot of guys that can shoot.
Jesus Christ.
I'll give New Orleans credit. They kept the pace for a while. They cut the lead to 6 with 5.5 minutes left in the first half. Bucks finished the first half on a 16-4 run.
Well,
Giannis was the only player in double figures in the first half for the Bucks. This has nothing to do with the game, but I'm watching the game. And because it was Bengals' birthday, they had a bunch of mascots there and stuff, and they had like a giant inflatable cake. But if you're watching like towards the end of the first half, I think like in the last minute of the game, you can see the giant inflatable birthday cake being brought across the bottom of the screen by one of the cheerleaders. And I'm just like, what the fuck? just a giant inflatable birthday cake coming down the bottom of the screen while there's still a minute left in the first half. And it's like, it was just, I don't know, it made me laugh.
Hey, Bengals a beastie mascot.
Bengals awesome, but it was just super random just to see during a game, just a giant inflatable birthday cake being like dragged across the bottom of the screen where the score is held. So it made me laugh. First half. So this is the first half. New Orleans as a team had 20 points in the paint. As a team, Giannis individually had 22 points in the paint.
Oof. Oof.
Second half, Pat Connaughton hit back-to-back threes. And I've said this before, and I'll say it again. The Bucks need to improve their transition defense a little bit. That's one thing the Bucks can get better at. Twice in the second half, New Orleans got transition makes or transition buckets after the Bucks made a field goal. That's inexcusable.
Yeah, I agree.
But second half, we got to see Joe Ingles. He was sniping threes. Drew Holiday got the mid-range going. He only had 6 points in the first half. He had 9 in the third quarter. So Drew Holiday got going. Seeing Javon Carter again getting steals, and he just runs up, and I don't know. This is probably just a question to have to ask him. If it's his ability to either like stop his momentum from going forward and then go up, or if he just kind of carries his momentum through his shot. But that's a tough three to make. Like, it's an open shot, but it's really hard if you're running in a full sprint and then stopping and shooting to not have your momentum carry you forward and shoot a three that just hits the back of the rim and bounces back towards you.
That's a really good question, to be honest with you.
It's a tougher three than people would think it is, just because it's an open three.
I agree.
So I'm going to give Javon Carter a little bit of credit for that, because those are tough shots to hit. Khris Middleton played 18 minutes in this game, still coming off the bench. He had 9 points, 4 assists, and 3 rebounds. Giannis had 50 points. He had 13 rebounds and 4 assists. He only scored 6 points in the third quarter.
Holy shit.
He scored 50 points in 30 minutes.
Yeah.
That is insane.
Yes, it is.
That is just absolutely insane. And even more to it, those 2 threes that he hit were just two. But I want to pull this up because only 2 guys scored more than Giannis doing this. I just want to bring up the numbers so I have it exactly correct. Free throws. So,
no.
Giannis only made 7 free throws. Giannis only made 7 free throws in this game. So that means 43 of his 50 came from the field.
Wow.
Klay Thompson and Devin Booker were the other 2. The only 2 players that made less free throws while scoring 50 points. Klay Thompson scored 50, making 2 free throws, and Devin Booker scored 50, making 5 free throws.
Those guys are shooters, though, so that's different.
Right. Bill asked, do you think the Bucks will bring Middleton off the bench until the playoffs start? No, I don't think it's going to last even until the All-Star break. I think even before they get to that. Now that he's played 20 minutes in a game, I think we could see him in the starting lineup as early as Friday, although I don't think it's completely necessary that they do. I think he could be in the starting lineup as early as Friday. But it'll definitely, I would say definitely before the All-Star break, but no, it won't go as long as all the way to the playoffs. So also in this game.
They play tomorrow, just so you know, buddy.
Why did I see Friday night? I thought it was tomorrow. And then I saw somebody tweet that it was Friday night.
No, they play tomorrow at 9 p.m. So I'm going to be dead at work on Friday. Yeah. And you know what they're giving away at the game? It's only a lap blanket.
I was saying tomorrow the blanket. Yeah.
Yeah, they're giving away that little blanket. And I was talking to Brittany, fan of the show, and I was like, Brittany, you have to give me one of those blankets. I have been a Bucks fan my entire life. I respect the purple. You don't respect the purple because it's a purple one. I was like, give me your towel. And she was like, okay, but you have to let me use one of your jerseys. Like, all right, bet. Easy. That's easy for me.
Easy trade. Totally
easy
fair deal.
She just can't wear my Michael Red one. That's the only one she can't.
Yeah, you should probably have that one in the case.
Nah, I wear that one all the time, to be honest with you. That's like I wear it on Wednesdays, actually. Me and the girlfriend, we sit down and we watch our couple TV shows and we just kind of have our family time. That's my family time shirt. You know, it's nice and chill, bro. Michael Red. And I taught my stepson who Michael Red was because he was like, who's that guy you're wearing? I was like, you don't know about Mike Red, bro? You don't know about Mike Red, bro? Like, I made him watch his 57-point game. He was like, oh, my God, this guy's Steph Curry. I was like, no, it's Michael Red.
Oh, this is Michael Red.
Exactly.
That maybe could be something else we watch after we do the 2001 Eastern Conference Finals. Maybe we watch some Michael Red classic games.
Oh, I would love that.
Him and Gilbert Arenas were going at it for a while. Who was leading the league in scoring?
Good times. We got to add Bogut in there, though, because I love me some Bogut.
It's because you are Andrew Bogut.
I'm fine with that. I love Andrew Bogut. I'm a champion, baby.
So also in this game, Drew Holiday, 17 points, 7 rebounds, 6 assists. Brooke Lopez, 15 points, 8 rebounds, 3 assists, 2 blocks. Grayson Allen, 8 points, 4 assists, 2 steals. Joe Ingles had 9 points and 3 assists. Wesley Matthews had 8 points and 9 rebounds. And I got to say, I love that everybody is taking it upon themselves to step up in the rebounding department with Bobby Portis out.
I agree with that.
It's really become a team effort, and it's really encouraging to see the entire team stepping up in the absence of Bobby Portis, really rallying around him being injured. So I really do appreciate that from the Bucks. 12 second chance points, 13 points off turnovers for the Pelicans, 8 missed free throws by the Bucks. That's 33 fundamental failure points. That's right on the average. So really nothing to complain about there. We got to talk.
Oh, no.
Giannis owns the Pelicans.
He does.
He is owner of the Pelicans. This was his 6th straight 30-point, 10-rebound double-double against the Pelicans.
Oh,
You want to know the averages during that time frame?
I do.
Last 6 games, Giannis against the Pelicans, and I posted this on Monday. 39.5 points, 12.8 rebounds, 5 assists, 64.4% from the field, 45.8% from the three-point line.
Well, I want to play the Pelicans in the finals. I'll tell you that.
And the Bucks only play the Pelicans twice a year, so you can't give me the guys are injured excuse because that dates all the way back to the 2020-2021 season.
Wow. Pretty good.
I'll take it. Yeah, I agree with you. Let's let the Bucks and the Pelicans play in the finals. Let's go to the Bucks and Hornets game. What did you see from last night's game that stood out to you?
So I was holding in my laugh because you were talking about how the Pelicans are good at creating turnovers and scoring fast. And when I was watching the game, and obviously I watched the first game too, that's the one area that they could take advantage of the Bucks when they get sloppy is they could score really, really quick because they have a lot of athletes. So I'm so glad that you brought that up because I was like, I'm thinking that, dude, when I'm watching this game. I'm like, these dudes like to get up and down the floor. They're young. They don't really have any guy down low that's really going to dominate you or anything like that. So they got to create paint points in another way. So that's how they're going to create paint
They do
points.
it second chance points, too. They're actually 7th in the NBA in second chance points. The Bucks are 8th.
Oh, wow. There's a stat for you. So the Bucks, 18 assists to 12 turnovers. Not great, not bad, livable. The Hornets, 27 assists and 11 turnovers. That's pretty goddamn good. The Bucks shot the free throw well. Points in the paint, we won that. We won fast break points, which is shocking because I just gave credit to the Hornets with fast break points. So Bucks won that. No team really shot the ball crazy, but the Bucks just ended up making more threes, and we had Giannis Antetokounmpo.
That helps.
I just want us to appreciate because even with Rodgers, I was still younger while I was in high school, where I don't think I appreciated Rodgers as much as I should have with the Packers. I do not want to miss an opportunity to appreciate Giannis. And, people talk about him all the time. Media talks about him all the time. We talk about him all the time. He's always in our power pair. Like you've said 100 times, he could probably have his own segment.
True.
I don't want us to forget to appreciate what we have because I remember the days when we didn't have him. And it was tough. It was rough,
I remember his rookie year.
That was also rough. But he did a drive in the first quarter, and he takes one dribble, does a spin, and finishes the layup. And I'm sitting there with my stepson last night. I'm watching the game, and I'm just like, Jesus Christ, dude. Like, do you understand how much area he just covered with one dribble? Like, he just made that look so easy. And, like that's not easy. Like, not everybody can just pick up a ball, spin, cover the entire lane, and finish over the center. Like, that's impossible. So I just want to say that I appreciate Giannis. Every game that I watch, I'm just like, good God, this guy is just amazing. And now He's just everything, man.
He's got several plays every game where it's how did he do that?
Yeah, it's crazy, man. You can go ahead. I just wanted to give an appreciation to Giannis because I don't want to miss out on it when he's old. Be like, oh man, I remember when Giannis was this.
Phil
Like
said
I
even
don't
the
want to say that.
broadcasters were stunned on that play.
They were. That was crazy. Like he just made it look so nonchalant too. He just runs back on defense. I'm like, bro, you're not physically supposed to be able to do that. Like that's impossible.
What's up, Simon? So Khris Middleton did still come off the bench in this game. He's up to 20 minutes in this game. I want to say too that the Hornets were actually healthy for this game.
True. So
like LaMelo Ball played. Gordon Hayward was actually healthy for this game as well. So I wanted to mention him as well. You kind of mentioned already that the Hornets can score quickly. That kind of got into this late game situation where the game got a little bit closer than maybe it should have.
Yep.
But first quarter, Bucks started off pretty slow start from the 3-point line. However, 13 second chance points in just the first quarter last night.
Man.
Brook Lopez had 3 blocks in the first quarter. And Pat Connaughton, while not shooting super well, was super active early in the game. Mm-hmm. Like he's running around on defense. He's getting tip balls on the offensive end. And just being everywhere. Just playing with energy. Like Pat Connaughton, he really doesn't get enough credit for how much he does for the team.
True.
Speaking of not getting credit, Grayson Allen and Drew Holiday in the first half were playing very good on-ball defense on LaMelo Ball and Terry Rozier. And I made sure to emphasize the on-ball part of it because there were some situations where there was defensive breakdowns and those guys ended up open and made some shots, more ball than Rozier. But when playing on the ball, Grayson Allen and Drew Holiday both played very good defense on those two, and it reflected in their ending field goals.
I was waiting for you to bring up Grayson Allen defense the entire time. How many weeks are we going to go? And this could be rhetorical. You can answer it. I don't care. How many weeks are we going to go where we talk about Grayson Allen playing good defense before we just recognize that he's good on defense? Because that was definitely a problem for him last year in the playoffs. No hiding it whatsoever.
True.
And he didn't play great against the Celtics, but, dude, Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum, they score on everybody, okay? Right. So let's not just pretend that Grayson Allen's supposed to just step up on Jaylen Brown and stop him from scoring 30. He can pour 30 in on Kawhi if he really wanted to.
Right.
Let's just call it what it is. But Grayson Allen's been playing a lot of really good defense. He's been passing the ball well. And to your point, he's been driving and kicking really well. So if I see Grayson Allen traded, I'm at the point where I'm emotionally just going to be a wreck because I don't want to see him gone.
Yeah, I'm more strongly on the let's trade salary fillers and a bunch of draft picks.
I agree.
That's really only what I want to do. Yep. I don't want to trade anybody in the top 9 of the rotation. And honestly, the way he's played in the last week, I don't know that I even want to trade Wesley Matthews.
Me either. I don't really want to trade George Hill either, man. He's leading the team in assist to turnover ratio. I could see trading him. I really could because of Javon Carter, and we have so many ball handlers, and now having, Joe Ingles. Sorry, I was blanking for a second. Having Ingles back and having Khris Middleton back, I could see that we don't need him, but it's better. It's better to be prepared for a situation where guys are in foul trouble or this guy tweaks his foot or something, and then you have that option. I mean, to be honest, the only thing the Bucks need to add is another defender on the wing.
Yep.
It doesn't even need to be Jay Crowder. It doesn't have to be Jay Crowder. It doesn't.
Yeah. One guy that I would be willing to trade for, and it would probably require the Bucks to trade their 2029 first-round pick, but I'd like to see the Bucks maybe trade for Jared Vanderbilt.
Okay. I'm with that. I'm not against that at all.
He would probably cost the 2029 first-rounder because he's only 23, and he's a pretty good player, but I actually just put an article out today that the Bucks for 3-and-D wings that are not named Jay Crowder, the 3 guys that I named were Jared Vanderbilt, Kyle Anderson, and Robert Covington.
Love Robert Covington, obviously, but I'm okay with Vanderbilt.
Kyle Anderson is actually shooting pretty well from the 3-point line this season, and he's only making $9 million. So he's in that realm of possibility where the Bucks could trade Jordan Nwora, Serge Ibaka, and George Hill, and then whatever draft compensation necessary to get that deal done. So, second half, we get into this situation. Actually, real quick before the end of the first half, Wesley Matthews, got to mention him. Wesley Matthews was 3 for 4 from the three-point line in the first half, including a buzzer beater, a step-back buzzer beater at that.
That was nasty, bro.
And then, yes, the Bucks had a lot of threes in the first half that went like halfway down and came out, especially Drew Holiday and Pat Connaughton. The other thing that I wanted to mention, Khris Middleton took a charge in the first half. Now, this stood out to me so emphatically because it means that he's trusted enough in his body to be able to take a hit like that and still be okay. So that was encouraging for me to see that. I don't know what it is that Khris Middleton cannot get continuation when he's fouled on the perimeter.
I'm so glad.
Why can he not get that?
Bro, he cashed it.
You have 3 4-point plays every single game. Like, why can Khris Middleton not get foul calls on the perimeter? I don't understand it.
I don't know either, man. And for them to say that he wasn't going up, dude, yes, he was. He was 100% going up.
He knew he was getting contacted before you called the foul.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that drives me nuts.
Yeah, I was a little upset, and I knew you were going to bring it up today. I was like, Tyler's going to bring that up for sure. Don't even have to ask him.
That annoys me. Hornets were using good ball movement. They got themselves a lot of open corner threes, and they knocked them down to their credit.
Yes.
Did you know that Giannis didn't get his first free throw in this game until the 8:45 mark of the third quarter?
I think I should know that, but no, I did not pay attention to that.
He did have he did reach the double-double mark at the 8-minute mark of the third quarter as well.
Yeah, he was grabbing hella rebounds, to be honest with you.
I will say, like, I got to give credit to him, but also this is something that the Bucks need to kind of shore up, is LaMelo Ball was getting a lot of offensive rebounds.
Yeah.
That can't happen. He got a lot of offensive rebounds and tip-ins, just easy points just from not being boxed out.
The one that kind of happened was Javon Carter was on him and Giannis was boxing out Plumlee, and it's like 6 foot against 6'6". I mean, what do you expect to happen?
Yeah. Did you know that Drew Holiday passed Kareem Abdul-Jabbar on the all-time assist list in this game as well?
I did know that one, yes.
All right. Did you know that Terry Rozier didn't make his first field goal until the 7:05 mark of the third quarter?
I also knew that because they pointed that out, yes.
And then Grayson Allen started heating up in the third quarter. Seeing Khris Middleton actively trying to get into the paint is really interesting as well.
Mm-hmm.
Like, Khris Middleton's not out here just trying to score shooting jumpers. Like, he's driving to score.
That to me shows that he has confidence in the leg.
That to me shows he has confidence in his scoring, that he's not just a jump shooter. He's like, damn, I see Giannis doing all this extra stuff that he didn't do last year. He's like, I got to pick it up.
I'm fine with that too.
Khris Middleton scored 11 really quick points in the third quarter. He really held down the end of the third quarter for the Bucks with Giannis getting some rest on the bench. The Bucks ended the third quarter on a 16-5 run.
Yeah, we took the lead with Giannis on the bench, and I looked at him and I said, "You fucked up. You fucked up. Now it's over."
It helps that Javon Carter hit 2 more transition threes. I texted you, if he would have hit that third one, I would have lost it.
I would have lost it too. That third one was wild, bro. I mean,
it was right on line too. And Drew Holiday got the offensive rebound, and then I think Giannis got a layup out of it. But Giannis took over the scoring to open the fourth quarter. Some turnovers and a couple of missed shots made the game closer than it should have been because the Hornets can score quickly. Mm-hmm. But overall, the Bucks still won the game. Giannis had that layup, and then he kind of ran. I mentioned that he ran into the stanchion under the hoop. Bud said after the game that everyone is okay, and that's reflected in the injury report for the Clippers game. Giannis is listed as probable. Now, LaMelo Ball did have a triple-double, yes. Mm-hmm. But he was 10 for 26 from the field. That's 38.5%. And he was 3 for 9 from the three-point line. That's 33% for a guy who's shooting over 40 for the season. So He did have a triple-double, but he was, I would say, held in check.
It's a very Allen Iverson stat line.
True. And then speaking of being held in check, Terry Rozier, 6 for 19 from the field. 31.6% and 2 for 8 from the three-point line, 25%.
I'll still never forgive Eric Bledsoe for getting that man paid.
He did. Eric Bledsoe single-handedly got Terry Rozier paid.
I'll never forgive him for that.
Oh, man. That's so nuts. So I did mention this now. Second chance points. Hornets are 7th in the NBA. They average a little over 15 points, second chance points per game. They had 15 in this game. They also had 15 points off turnovers, and the Bucks only missed 4 free throws, so it puts them at 34 fundamental failure points, right on the average for the season from last year. Tim said that change of hands layup by Javon Carter was crazy good. Even Drew was giving him a crazy look.
Yeah,
that was nice. That was nice. Yeah, Drew was looking at him crazy. I remember seeing that on the game or during the broadcast last night, seeing the look that Drew was giving him was funny. He also, I think he had it, poked the ball away from LaMelo Ball, went and got a dunk, and even LaMelo was looking at him like, damn, I didn't even know he could dunk.
Dude, the two-hander.
In the game, Javon Carter had another one where he poked the ball away from LaMelo, and they got tangled up, and they helped each other up. And Lisa Byington said it during the game that she enjoys seeing the respect and the sportsmanship. That's something that we've said on this show, that we enjoy seeing that sportsmanship as respecting the game more than just the competition. Mm-hmm. So I enjoyed seeing that, actually. And
Ball was ready to cry, though. I'll tell you that. If Javon didn't go over there and help him up, he was ready to complain.
He was complaining during the Bucks substituting players in. He was he was like counting players out, and then he's like pretended to blow a whistle, and he's like trying to give the ref a technical foul. And it's like, how did he not get a technical foul for that?
I don't know. But then Brooke gets a technical for saying, come on.
He dropped an F-bomb.
Yeah.
Brooks, it was while the ref's back was turned, and Brooks, but he dropped an F-bomb.
Yeah.
I wasn't mad at the technical. I'll say that. Giannis did finish with 34 points, 18 rebounds, 4 assists. Drew Holiday had 15 points, 13 rebounds. That is a career high, 13 rebounds for Drew Holiday. His previous career high was 12. Khris Middleton, 18 points off the bench, 3 rebounds, 3 assists. Grayson Allen, 12 points. Brook Lopez, 8 points. Pat Connaughton, 8 points. Wesley Matthews, 11 points, 6 rebounds. Joe Ingles, 8 points. Javon Carter, 8 points. I mean, just down the lineup. That's 9 guys that scored 8 or more points.
God damn.
And 5 guys in double digits. Like, wow. That's really, the Bucks are getting balanced scoring on top of having a dude that drops 30 2 out of 3 games.
It is what it is, man. Wait for Khris to come back.
It's awesome. That's what it is. So Bucks are now at 5 wins in a row with the big 3 together. They play tomorrow night against the Clippers, Saturday against the Heat, and then Monday at Portland. So 3 games. What is your record prediction for the Bucks?
3-0. I got 3-0. Clippers, that's going to be a good one. It's going to be a tough one. The Heat in Milwaukee, that's the reason I'll give us that one. Plus, I think we've gotten over the hump where the Heat still play us tough. Like, I know we lost.
They play everybody tough.
They play, they play everybody tough. They play a grinded out kind of game. That'll be a good one. And then the Trailblazers are interesting. Dame can go nuclear on that court. So, struggled there. That'll be one thing to watch. Also, Anfernee Simon, he's a really good player. So, that'll definitely be something to watch. But I still think 3-0 for the Bucks. Giannis is in a good groove. Bucks are in a good groove. I think you're the one that called it. You said it was time for the Bucks to start rattling off some W's. Definitely what they're doing.
I said it like right as you were like right before you hopped on that I think I mentioned that I think the Bucks are capable of going on a 7-game winning streak. Mm-hmm. And they're on a 5-game winning streak. Bill said 2-1. He thinks Giannis will settle the Portland game. I think Giannis is due to sit out a game some point just because he keeps getting listed as probable with a knee soreness. So I think it's getting to a situation where he might sit one of these games out. Honestly, I thought it was going to be the Clippers game, but I saw that he was listed as probable. So I guess not. But
I think that Clippers game is kind of a statement game. The Clippers have been playing really, really good basketball since Kawhi and PG have come back. So,
sure.
And they just had a huge comeback against the Bulls. Bulls have lost 3 out of 4, so fuck you guys. I just wanted to point that out real quick. But the Clippers have been playing really, really well since both those guys came back. So I think that'll be a good game tomorrow, man. I'm excited for that. I told Brittany, I was like, dude, you're going to a freaking good game. Her first ever Bucks game. I'm like, you're going to a good one.
All right. Is there anything else that you have for Bucks or Badgers?
Well, I would say Badgers, and this is going to sound stupid, but, everybody talks about it, and then everybody goes crazy when Giannis has a quote about it. Badgers just need to have fun. And as bland as that sounds, it's what you tell your kids. Giannis literally had a quote this week talking about when you have fun. It was after the Pacers game. He said, when you have fun, everything else takes care of itself. Badgers need to get back to having fun and just playing basketball. Just be kids, man. Don't be the athlete. Be the student athlete. Play your system. Have fun. Shoot the ball. Play defense. Play together. Be a team. That's what I would tell my team if they were in a slump, So do that. You're doing everything. Bucks, I don't have to say anything. This team has too many veterans, too many good players, too many star players for me to have to say anything. Nothing I say is going to make them change what they're good at or what they're going to do. So just keep doing your thing. Bucks and 6, man. That's all I got to say about that.
All right. And it is officially February 1st, which means a couple things. One, it means Lily's birthday is tomorrow, and I'm going to have an 8-year-old, which is nuts.
Let's go.
And then it also means that pitchers and catchers will be reporting soon, which means that Jake and I will have a Brewers primer coming up.
Yes,
we didn't really spend a lot of time talking about all the individual news with the Brewers, but we're going to do it just basically all at once, and we'll do the primer that we do for every season leading up to the start of a season. So the Brewers one will be coming up pretty soon. So we got that. We are going to have a Packers show not 2 days from now, Friday, but the following Friday. We're going to be doing our 4 ways to fix the Packers. So it'll be Jake, myself, Simon, and Bryant. And we're also going to do an emotional fan base edition of 4 ways to fix the Packers. So that'll be pretty cathartic and full of snarky sarcasm. So that'll be sure to be fun.
Take my brain out for that section.
Don't miss that, because that's going to be very entertaining to just take all the takes that we've seen in Facebook groups and such of things that the fan base says when they're emotional. But that'll be sure to be fun.
I think in the preseason we'll have to set up another trivia night, and I want Bill to participate. I want Bill. Bill, you're a smart guy. You're too smart to just be sitting on the sideline. So I want you to join. Simon, you can come take this L again. I'm the reigning champion. Probably because Tyler didn't play. He would have probably stole 1 or 2 of those from me. But
that's fair. I played host.
I think it would be really fun for us to set it up to have somebody host. I don't know. We'll have to figure this out. This is just right off the top of my head. Have a father-son, like you and your dad versus me and my dad kind of trivia night kind of thing. I think that could be really fun. That was just an idea that popped up. He said he's in. Good.
Okay, get better at March Madness.
Not all of us stick on the bandwagon of Duke, Simon.
All right. Well, that's that. I will be back seeing you here next Wednesday. Hopefully, we're talking about 3 more Bucks wins and a couple of Badger wins. And we're getting close to baseball. Simon said it. Baseball, it's crazy that baseball is almost back, but we're getting there. The hype's getting there. It just means warmer temperatures, hopefully.
I saw Contreras posted a sick photo in his hat.
Did.
So I'm excited about that, man.
Yeah, he'll for sure be a big part of the Brewers primer, so that's for sure. So I will see you next week, and then we will see you guys twice next week, Wednesday and Friday. So thanks for watching, commenting along. Bill, Simon, Isaac, Tim, see you guys along. See you next week.